Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel English Literature. Today we are going to read about Kidd's The Spanish Tragedy. The Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kidd, 1558 to 1594. The lifespan of Thomas Kidd. Spanish tragedy is also known as bloody tragedy. There is too much bloodshed, revenge motive, so it is called bloody tragedy. Spanish tragedy was influenced by Seneca. Who is Seneca? A Roman philosopher, dramatist and statesman. And Spanish tragedy by Kidd was molded by the model of Senecan tragedies, where there is too much bloodshed and revenge motive. It was written in blank verse, that is unrhymed iambic pentameter, one traced syllable followed by untraced one. This is called and unrhymed iambic pentameter. This is pentameter. Now, the play is set in the Spain in the 16th century. First performed around 1586 and published anonymously in 1592. When we read about Thomas Kidd, we found that the only play that contained his name was Pompey. But the most famous play for which Kidd is so famous, the Spanish tragedy, was published anonymously. Kidd's name was not there. Do you remember? If you go through the video I made on Kidd, then you will find that. Now, have a look at the background before going to Spanish tragedy. Why there is Spain come in the form of England, in the term of England, or in the mind of the dramatists of England. This is Spain. Okay, and here it is United Kingdom. Sorry. Now what happened? The Queen Mary, do you remember Queen Mary, the Bloody Mary? Because he killed all the Protestants and there is too much killing going on. And he was a supporter of Catholicism. He wanted to establish Catholic power in so much extent that he just go on killing the Protestants, and that's why she was called Bloody Mary. And now Mary was half Spanish and half English. Why half Spanish and half English? Do you remember her mother? Who was her mother? Her mother was Catherine of Aragon, the first wife of Henry VIII, whom Henry VIII divorced, and for that Reformation came in England, the breach between Roman Catholic Church and English Church, and there is so much stories regarding this. Catherine of Aragon was of Spanish origin, and she was married to Henry's elder brother Arthur. When Arthur died, Henry VIII married her, but she could not produce any male heir, and Mary was her daughter. So Mary was half Spanish in that respect and half English. And now Mary was staunch Catholic, and again Mary married Philip II, who was the ruler of Spain. He was also a staunch supporter of Catholicism. And now the English people, the rebels, the Protestants, they all feel that now England will be just the pawn at the hand of Spain. In Spain's chessboard, England will be just the pawn. But there is one hope, and that hope works. What is the hope? The marriage contract, in the marriage contract it was said that if Mary died without any heir, then Philip will have no right over England. Okay, so that was the only hope, that if Mary died childless, without any heir, then Philip will have no right over the English throne. And that happened. Mary died childless without any heir. And so who came in the throne after Mary? Queen Elizabeth. So Queen Elizabeth came in the throne. And Elizabeth was Protestant. She established Protestant rule, and she was much more, flexible in her attitude to religion. And in the time of Queen Elizabeth, England rose to its prosperity. National freedom, patriotic zeal, peace, prosperity, language, literature, everything flourished. The economic growth, social stability, political peace, everything was happened. The golden era of England, we can find that during the reign of Queen Elizabeth. And now, England was always afraid of Spain because Spain was powerful, and particularly of Spanish Armada, the most powerful source of Spain. They can attack in any country and conquer it. That most powerful force of Spain was the main point of fear for the England. And now what happened? The glorious revolution, you can say in this way, 1588, during the reign of Queen Elizabeth, Spanish Armada was defeated. Spanish Armada was defeated. It created hope, new hope. It just charged English people with new hope and new life. And Spanish Armada was defeated mostly because of the weather. The weather was too bad, and then that navigation failed, the fleet disarrayed, and due to their bad luck, most of the reason is due to their bad luck, bad weather, than the English forces' power. It is the real reason. Anyhow, the English people won the battle, and that is the point that 1588 England defeated Spain by defeating the Spanish Armada. And now in this context, we just told you this context, the relation between England and Spain. Now it will be more enjoyable to read the drama, the storyline. Themes are horror, crime, revenge. It is still a personal vendetta, unfolds against a backdrop of military tension between Spain and Portugal. And it is totally imaginary. Here major characters, have a look at the major characters: Lorenzo, Bel Imperia, Balthazar, Hieronimo and Horatio. Keep these characters in mind, because when we read the storyline, these characters will come to us. Great skillful language and rhetoric. And until 1773, the authorship was unknown, as the Spanish tragedy was published anonymously. Thomas Hawkins, an English academic, in his The Origin of English Drama, referred to Kidd as the author of the Spanish tragedy, when he found Thomas Heywood's Apology for Actors, where Heywood named Kidd as the author of the Spanish tragedy. Do you understand the thing? So there is no source to prove that Kidd is the writer of Spanish tragedy. Now what happened? There is one author whose name is Thomas Heywood. He wrote Apology for Actors, and there he named Kidd as the playwright of Spanish tragedy. And Thomas Hawkins, who was an English academic, he found or discovered that piece of literature, that piece, and included it in his book, The Origin of English Drama, that Kidd is the author of the Spanish tragedy. So this was the story of discovering Kidd's right over the Spanish tragedy. It is very important. Now the original title of the poem is The Spanish Tragedy, or Hieronimo is Mad Again. Do you remember the line? Hieronimo is mad again. This is a very common line. It was most probably written between 1580 to 1592. With the Spanish tragedy, Kidd set the trend for English tragedy. The Gorboduc, 1561, by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton, they both write together, was an early attempt, but it was not so significant. So the importance of Spanish tragedy lies in the fact that Kyd, with his Spanish tragedy, just accelerated the growth of tragedy in its real sense. The play subsumes the Senecan ingredients like bloodshed, revenge, ghost, affluent rhetoric, etc. So these are the Senecan features that was imbued in this play. There is a meta-villain character, Lorenzo. And there is also the play within play technique is used here. Now, have a look. In the Spanish tragedy, 1594, Thomas Kyd presents a tragedy in blank verse. We have already told this poem previously at the beginning of the note. The political background of the play is made up of the victory of Spain over Portugal. It is totally an imagination on the part of the playwright in 1580. In the 16th century, Spain was at the peak of power. It dominated Europe. I told you that Spain was most powerful with the Spanish Armada. It can own over any country and dominate that country. And Kyd's play does not attempt to explore the actual political tapestry of Spain. His treatment of Spain's war with Portugal was his own invention, his own imagination. Now, the play opens in hell. Keep it in mind. The play opens not in any court of Spain or Portugal. The play opens in hell. And the first speaker, who is this first speaker? Don Andrea. I don't mention this name in the character list, major character list, but he is an important character, Don Andrea, who is the ex-lover of Belle Imperia. But he is called ex in the sense that he is murdered. Otherwise, she will be, वो बेवफा नहीं थे. Magar he was murdered. That's why I called X. Who was killed in the war but by Balthazar. Who was Balthazar? The son of Portuguese viceroy. The son of Portuguese viceroy was Balthazar. So Balthazar was most powerful, and Balthazar killed Don Andrea. In warfare, killing is so common. There is nothing. But Don Andrea wanted revenge. The ghost of Don Andrea wanted revenge. Why? Because he was not called in front war, but the killing was cowardice. In Spain, Lorenzo and Belle Imperia are the son and daughter of Don Cyprian. So Cyprian's daughter is Belle Imperia and Cyprian's son is Lorenzo. Who was Cyprian? Duke of Castile, brother of the King of Spain. So King of Spain. Do you find a similarity with this story to Shakespeare's any drama? Hamlet. I find that Hamlet, the story plot of Hamlet and the story plot of Spanish tragedy is somewhat similar. Maybe there is some twist in character. Here, Hieronymo, who is the father, is wanting revenge. There, the son will want revenge. So that is some difference, but story plot, the play within play technique is similar. Now, Don Hieronymo is the Marshal of Spain and Horatio is his son. So the king, the name of the king is, King of Spain. Okay, name is not mentioned here, king. And king's brother is Cyprian. And he has one son and one daughter. Daughter is Belle Imperia and son is Lorenzo. Now Lorenzo is the villain and Belle Imperia's lover is Don Andrea. So Andrea is lover of Belle Imperia, who was murdered by the son of Portuguese viceroy Balthazar. Okay, so Balthazar will be imprisoned mostly by Horatio. Horatio has a role in imprisoning Balthazar. But Lorenzo also claimed that he did the major thing. Anyway, Horatio, a dispute will arises on the debate who had captivated Balthazar, where both Lorenzo and Horatio demands their credit. Though actually it was Horatio who avenges the death of Andrea, who was the lover of Belle Imperia. Now, Horatio meets and informs Belle Imperia how cruelly Andrea was killed. I told you that he was not killed, he wants revenge because that was not justice. Not in a single combat. He was not defeated in a single combat, but with a troop of army led by Balthazar. One person was killed by a troop of army. There is the story of Abhimanyu in Mahabharata. Have you heard the story of Abhimanyu in Mahabharata? How cruelly Abhimanyu was killed by a group of people, by a troop. And that same thing was happened with Andrea. Now Horatio manages to bury the body of Andrea, and so Belle Imperia feels very grateful to Horatio, because Horatio imprisoned her enemy Balthazar, who killed her lover, and at the same time Horatio buried her lover's body. So Belle Imperia falls in love with Horatio. In the meantime, Lorenzo and Balthazar become friends, because there was some political interest, and the Spanish king plans a matrimonial bond between Balthazar and Belle Imperia. So you find how women are used as pawn. Women are used just for matrimonial bond for political reason. No one asks what Belle Imperia wants. Balthazar is Belle Imperia's enemy, because Balthazar kills Belle Imperia's lover. But now everything is settled, and for political peace or political prosperity or some political advantage, they fixed that matrimonial bond without even consulting Belle Imperia. Women are not for consulting. Women are just for do this, do that. Balthazar courts Belle Imperia, and his suit is favored by Lorenzo for political reasons. Now Lorenzo and Balthazar discovered what? That Belle Imperia loves Horatio, and that becomes fatal for Horatio. They come upon him at night at Hieronymus' arbor. Hieronymus is the father of Horatio, and they kill Horatio and hang him to a tree. How cruel it is. Now Hieronymus, coming out along with his wife Isabella and finding his son dead, becomes frantic with grief. And there is some lines from the drama that you can have a look at it. Hieronymus speaking to the body of his son. Oh, speak, if any spark of life remain. I am thy father, who hath slain my son? What savage monster, not of humankind, hath here been glutted with thy harmless blood, and left thy bloody corpse dishonoured here for me, amidst these dark and dreadful shades, to drown thee with an ocean of my tears? He finds out who the murderers are and plots with Belle Imperia their destruction. For this purpose, he arranges a play that suits his revengeful purpose, that I will find also in Hamlet. In the course of the play, Lorenzo and Balthazar was killed. They used the dagger, the knife, that was not artificial knife but real knife. Now Belle Imperia stabs herself, and Hieronymus takes his own life after killing the king. Hieronymus will also just cut his own tongue, and he kill the king, and he will also suicide. Now in the Spanish tragedy, you find that Kid attempts as much of the Senecan tragedy as is convenient. He dramatically uses horrors and crimes and the Senecan motive of revenge, the vendetta that Hieronymus takes for his son. His characters, however, are distinct, somewhat theatrically effective, and his play emerges as a united design. So there is the single characteristic, unique characteristic of Kid in Spanish tragedy. So in Spanish tragedy, we discuss the political scene of Spain, the Spain's power struggle with England, English scenario, and then we talk about the Spanish tragedy, the theme, the major characters, and how Spanish tragedy follows the Senecan themes, and how Kid modifies that Senecan theme more accurately or more artfully, you can say, and distinctly, that is apart from the Senecan tradition. Okay, thank you.